This is me. And my mom and dad. And my big brother Alex. And Jack. This is the day I learned that sandals got their name from sand. That jellyfish aren't made of jelly. That stars don't just come from the sky. That the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget I was sick. This was my wish.
Welcome back. More than 1,500 ICBC workers took to the streets this past Tuesday for their second strike in 2 weeks. Now, without a labor contract for 2 years, workers are upset they haven't received a pay raise in 2 years to offset inflation. My co-anchor Matt Lowe has the details.
If you were looking to get your car serviced today at ICBC, well, you'd be flat out of luck. Workers held a one-day strike today in protest for higher wages. These are just some of the 1,500 unionized workers who walked off the job today. The strike comes just 2 weeks after nearly 27,000 workers took part in a much bigger protest. Worker frustration stems from not having a collective agreement with ICBC in place for the past 2 years. As union spokesperson David Black explains, workers have been getting the short end of the stick.
We've seen management at ICBC take exorbitant wage increases, and in fact government's taken $1.2 billion out of ICBC last several years, and it's not right for them to say that there's nothing left for the people who are doing the work at ICBC.
Black and the union argue the wage increase is needed to keep up with inflation. ICBC tabled an offer back in August, but it was unacceptable to the workers.
We're not asking for the moon. We're asking for a fair and reasonable settlement. ICBC has the money. We should be able to get this done quite quickly.
The union hopes drivers can benefit from negotiations as well.
We also think quite strongly that with government taking so much money out of ICBC, instead of doing that, the drivers actually deserve to share in the success, and we should see lower insurance rates in British Columbia for all drivers.
With bargaining dates set in the near future, the workers have high hopes that their demands will be met. Matt Lowe in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine. Well, at first glance, the ponds and waterways of Granville Island appear pristine, but a group of volunteers for the Great Canadian Shoreline Cleanup know differently. As my co-anchor Lynn Johnson found out on closer look, these shorelines are polluted with a lot of garbage and some surprising debris.
Oh, look at that. What is that, like a metal hitch or something? That's crazy. That's crazy.
This group has gathered to clean up the mess. They're picking up wrappers, glass, and a lot of plastic. They've also found socks, chicken wire, and cell phones clogging up the shoreline. Marvin Solomon shares some of the unusual things he has found.
It's definitely plastic. There's actually 3 items come to mind as the weirdest things we found in our shoreline cleanups. Men's underwear. Last year's cleanup, we actually found a fully decorated Christmas tree and a pair of false teeth.
The cleanup is now a national initiative and relies on many corporations who free up their staff to participate. Ronan Barrett explains why his company takes part.
For the hotels themselves, they really like to do it because it's a great team building activity. It gets the staff out on a beautiful day like today. There's a lot of fun involved. They have a great time interacting with each other outside of the work environment.
But the volunteers also have very personal reasons to be here.
I'm an avid nature lover. Birds are one of my passions. I've raised birds for many years. I'm passionate about water birds in particular. So that was always something I was really passionate about, was to keep their environment clean and healthy and try and protect these species as well.
These pollutants cause serious damage. They release toxic chemicals into the water, can entangle or choke wildlife, and cause serious public safety concerns. The most common items found are cigarette butts and food wrappers. Last year across the province, volunteers removed almost 5,000 bags of garbage and recycling from BC's shorelines. But those bags can't be filled without volunteers picking up this harmful and sometimes unusual garbage, one piece at a time. Lynn Johnson in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine. Is Adrian Dix up to the same tricks? That question is on the minds of some business professionals after the NDP leader addressed a crowd at a Vancouver Board of Trade meeting. Some of the business community believe an NDP government would be detrimental to business. As Kaylee Miller reports, Dix had his work cut out for him as he faced some of his toughest critics.
And I'm hopeful that by February or March next year, they'll run out of double entendres and things to rhyme with my last name.
It was a full house to see opposition leader Adrian Dix speak about BC's economic future in the eyes of the NDP.
What kind of government, as we try and present ourselves as an alternative government in the next election, do we want to be? I think we want to be a government that focuses on the fundamentals, focuses on the key things that government does to support the society and support the economy. You hear it in there.
Dix didn't shy away from telling the audience that if the NDP were elected next May, they would raise corporate taxes and reinstate a minimum tax on banks.
It's not easy to say that we're going to raise taxes, but I would make one point. Since we showed leadership on that question, the Minister of Finance has said he's going to raise corporate taxes by 1 point, from 10 to 11%.
While he received a partial standing ovation, some audience members weren't jumping to their feet. Just hours before the meeting, the Coalition of BC Businesses released a poll saying that out of 600 small businesses, 68% believed an NDP government would create challenges for future business.
In light of the release that we did this morning through the Coalition of BC Businesses, where 3/4 of small businesses are concerned about their ability to hire people and invest under an NDP government, I don't think you really answered those questions today to give those small businesses comfort with an NDP platform.
Dix is leading in the polls to become BC's next premier, but he may have to win over some tough votes in the business community to reign supreme in the upcoming election. Kaylee Miller in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
We have Kaylee Miller live on location with us. Kaylee, despite the negativity expressed towards the NDP from the business community, did Dix say what his primary goal would be if elected?
Well, and Dix did say that the NDP's #1 priority would be creating more funding for post-secondary education and skills training. Now, Dix did go on to say that at some post-secondary education, or institutes, like here at BCIT, that students are still being trained on outdated equipment from the 1960s. So the NDP's #1 goal is to provide funding for education. Back to you.
Thanks, Kaylee. The NHL lockout may still be in its early stages, but a number of Vancouver businesses are worried about the impact it may have on their bottom lines. My co-anchor Lynn Johnson filed this report.
So over $500,000 per year.
That's the kind of damage Ryan Craig is looking at if the whole hockey season is a write-off.
It'll be very detrimental to us. If we lost an entire season, it's probably around $400,000, give or take, plus around $50,000 per round of the playoffs.
But it's not just about the money. He's also concerned about his staff.
Their hours will definitely decrease, which means their money will decrease. If it's not busy and the sales aren't there, then there's no need for them to be here. So some of them may have to get second jobs.
Van City Sports.
At Van City Sports, John Swelka is also worried. He says his store will also take big losses.
We're predicting to be down probably around 60% in sales of NHL merchandise.
If the lockout drags on, he says he will have to make big changes to his inventory.
For the NHL, we'll probably won't stock as much as we normally do, and we may switch some of the buying power to NFL merchandise.
According to the Vancouver Downtown Business Improvement Association, businesses in Vancouver could lose over $40 million if the season is a write-off. Lynn Johnson in Vancouver, BCIT Magazine.
Joining us now is Christine Zapisaki, who's very excited to talk about the Farmers and Artisans Market happening here at BCIT on September 23rd. Christine, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me, Matt.
So could you tell us a little bit about what we'll be seeing at the Farmers Market?
Well, people coming to our market can expect to see two things. First, they can expect to see the dynamic and unique characteristics of BCIT's campus community. And secondly, some of the best local food producers in BC. Some of those products are going to be organic heirloom vegetables, nitrate-free sausages, fresh fish from our local oceans, as well as baked goods and gourmet products.
Great. And what's been the general feedback from people who've been in the past?
Our feedback has been excellent. In fact, starting in May, people begin to contact the Human Resources Department to find out what are the new vendors this year, what are the dates, are they some of our employees even participate as vendors in the market.
Okay, that's excellent. If we're interested, where can we get more information?
You can get more information on HR's website at bcit.ca/HR/wellness.
Thanks, Christine, so much.
Alrighty.
Okay. Coming up next on BCIT Magazine, a new federal riding in Vancouver has some Mount Pleasant residents worried. And just how many people can fit in a bubble? A group of Vancouver bubble artists take aim at a new record.